Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Volusia County School Board. Stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you once again, and welcome everyone who's in the audience and for those who are listening to the live stream. I want to begin by introducing the people that are sitting around me this afternoon, beginning with my far left, your far right, Ms. Linda Cuthbert, representing District 3. Next to her, Mr. Reuben Cologne from District 5, our school board attorney, Mr. Ted Doran. Far right, your far left, Ms. Connie Speier, our agency clerk. Next to Ms. Speier, Ms. Jamie Haines, school board member from District 1. Our vice chair from representing District 2 as well, Ida Wright. And I am your chair. My name is Carl Persis, representing District 4. Items for approval on this agenda are items 3.01 and 4.01. We have public participation that we will take at this time on items on this agenda, or even otherwise. So let's see. The first card I have is from Elizabeth Albert, and the topic is interim interviews. That's what it says.
That's what it says.
Good afternoon, Ms. Albert.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman Persis, board members, and members of the audience. What an interesting day we've had. Mm-hmm. I have enjoyed it immensely, and I know you have as well. We had 3 very highly qualified candidates come and speak before you today, each very diverse, but each very capable and providing a body of work that proves the evidence of their capabilities. However, I believe that there is one candidate that clearly demonstrates all of the qualities that we are all looking for. Your strategic plan includes goals that refer to creating positive learning environments, the ability to listen and communicate effectively, attracting and retaining the highest quality educational professionals. So I would ask you to check the evidence of what they have submitted, and I believe that you will find that there is a candidate that rises to the top and exemplifies all of those desires that you have in your strategic plan. Also, there was a question posed at the very end of the interview that Ms. Stewart asked to you, and I thought it was very good question. I noticed that the response to the question when she asked you what you were looking for, you referred to the beginning of the school year, a smooth rollout to the 1920 school year. So then I would ask you to check your evidence on your interview document when you talked about your summertime plans. And I believe that there's a candidate that quite explicitly and clearly articulated a plan for a smooth rollout. And I think you'll agree with me. You also referred to maintaining relationships with senior staff and the unions that serve the employees within this district. Again, let's look at our evidence and see what we find. I again believe that there is one individual who will set themselves apart from the others with the answers that were provided to you. One candidate repeatedly referred to the desire to build trust, create environments that are inspired, that will inspire our team to move in toward greatness. One candidate stated that the people within Volusia County Schools are the asset that we're looking for, and where we need to focus to achieve our goals. And another comment made by this candidate that struck me was that this person identified their ability and willingness to listen, to collaborate, and then back up and give people the space to grow. What a concept that a leader would endeavor to engage in. So I urge you to look at the evidence you have from the interviews. There clearly is one candidate who can work towards bringing unity back to Volusia County Schools. We don't need someone to come in and fix us. What we need is someone who will inspire us to reach our full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Albert, and thanks for being here through all the process. And our next candidate is Mr. Bill Hall, former superintendent of Volusia County Schools. And I think Mr. Hall is our last speaker from the public. Good afternoon, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Chairman Persis. Distinguished school board members, Mr. Doran. I have worked with 6 of you. I have not had the pleasure of working with Mr. Cologne in the past. I'm here to support, frankly, the candidacy of Tim Huth. I've known Tim since the early 80s when he was athletic director at Mainland High School, and I was a principal at New Smyrna Beach High School. Mainland and New Smyrna back then were the powerhouses in football and basketball. And whenever we played, we had overflow crowds, and we were always looking for outstanding crowd control, which really was not a problem back then, but you had to cover all things that might happen. Tim has been an assistant principal, teacher, principal of Holly Hill Jr., principal of Mainland High School. He was an area superintendent, and he was my deputy superintendent. And we did a number of great things from 1996 through 2004. Now, I understand that's a long time ago, but Tim was my left arm, my right arm. I trusted him impeccably, and I don't think that there is a better choice. He knows this county. He knows the people. He knows still a lot of people in the system. He's been involved. His wife just retired in November from the school system. He's been a substitute teacher. He's raising a grandson who will be in the 7th grade at Henson Middle School. So he knows what's going on, and I think by far he is the best choice. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you so much. All right, that concludes the public participation section of this school board meeting. And now I need to share with the board that we've had breaking news, and that is that one of the individuals that we interviewed this morning had to withdraw. And I'll let Ms. Messina, if you can introduce yourself and your title and explain the reasons for this withdrawal. Yes,
thank you. Andrea Messina. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida School Boards Association, and as many of you and your staff know, we have been working with you on this interim superintendent search. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, I'm here to formally withdraw Pam Stewart's name from consideration. She was, as many of you know, recently retired, and while many of administrators across the state get rehired through a contracting arrangement, this type of contracting arrangement has never been tested for a superintendent. It has only been tested and upheld for administrators of other levels. And so because there are conflicting legal opinions on this matter, Ms. Stewart asked that I withdraw her name. She did not want to put the board in the position of having to test a legal conflicting opinion. So she, as I said, wanted to leave the board in the best possible position to move forward without any distraction. And she, as she mentioned in her interview more than once, she believes that you cannot go wrong with any of the candidates. She sends her best wishes for success. She offers her support in any way that she might be able to offer it, but she did not want the board to be put in the position of having to test something of this magnitude.
Thank you. Do any board members have a question for Ms. Messina about this? Okay, well, it certainly is disappointing. She gave an excellent interview, but however, we do understand the legalities, the 6-month rule, and the fact that she's a constitutional officer further complicates it. So now we are down to 2, and I need to ask the board if anyone would like to start the discussion about either of our remaining 2 candidates. I will remind everyone listening that the board was unanimous in a private voting yesterday of the 3 finalists. So all 3 finalists had all 5 of us supporting them. So I think that was great. And even though we've had one that had to withdraw, we still have 2 outstanding candidates. So if anyone wants to begin talking about either one, and of course, don't just say Tim, because they're both named Tim. And I'll open to the board. Who would like to say? Mr. Cologne, please.
So, unlike most folks on this board, a lot of these names were all new to me. And today's the first day I'd met any of them or heard anything one way or the other about each of them. I will say that Mr. Huth was very impressive in that he still has quite a bit of ties to our schools. Arguably, he never left our schools. Mm-hmm. And he certainly has continued to be engaged with our schools, and that was very impressive. One of the things I'm challenged with is it's been a little while since he's been here, and some of the answers were, I could tell they were slightly dated, which doesn't mean that somebody can't be brought up. I was very impressed with his answer, given some of the challenges that we have as far as his ability to deal with the legislature and some of those things that we are dealing with. So I think his strengths were truly the fact that, he's got a strong leadership history. That was exciting for me. Mr. Agner, again, Agner?
Yeah,
say that right?
Agner,
Mr.
yeah.
Agner, I was very impressed by this candidate. On a lot of these, all I could really write was wow, because it was as if he was inside of my head or had been. A lot of his answers, one of the things I look for in folks coming from healthcare is, when you come to the hospital and you want a job, you talk about patients. What are you going to do for patients? And one of the things that I gauged today was I wanted to hear the word teachers and students, teachers and students, teachers and students. And pretty much every time he said teachers or students, I kind of marked each one. And that was extremely telling to me as to where the priorities were. I found it really interesting when it came to the legislative question, the fact that both Tims had worked together in the legislature, had gone up to advocate for our district, so that was really exciting. The one thing that leads me a little bit more towards Mr. Agner is where we are today and what our needs are, and his forte is curriculum, and I think that we would all agree that curriculum is our biggest challenge. I consulted with some folks in between the break to ensure that this individual would continue in line, and that folks felt that they would be able to, continue in line with what we are going through right now, and that was an affirmative. Those are my thoughts on the 2 candidates. And again, I appreciate both of them coming. I mean, Mr. Huth obviously never left our district, and I really do want to get to know him because he's obviously been around for a long time. And so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to share their thoughts? This is share your thoughts time. Not looking for a motion per se, just talk. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Ms. Stewart. I think all of them were really great candidates. And I know Mr. Huth. I've worked with Ms. Stewart a little bit. Really didn't know Mr. Agner, but I was impressed. And I think either way we go, we'll do well.
Yeah. Ms. Haines.
I thought it was nice, actually, that each one of them kind of started out and said that they were in a group of 3 wonderful applicants, and that they recognize the strengths of each one. I thought each interview had showed some real strengths, and even though I knew each of them and had met them at different times throughout my career, I feel that when I looked back at what they said and how they answered some different questions, I felt that Mr. Agner, on a few of those questions, like specifically when he talked about the working relationships and the communication piece, you know, he talked about trust and clear direction, but then once you give people clear direction, you give them the space to do the work, and you then follow up with feedback. And he liked that feedback to be on both sides. And I also liked the part where he said about giving people a voice, because sometimes we claim to be great listeners, but we really don't listen well. And he highlighted on that piece. I also liked his response to the fact that we are sitting here right now in the summer, and when it talked about, so what do we need to do to get the school year started, he was very clear with what needed to be done, and it resonated with exactly, you know, if I had made my own list of what needed to be tackled to be ready for the students, he hit those high points. So I appreciate all three of them coming. I'm sad to see that one had to excuse themselves, but we have some interesting legislative laws. At least we did that.
Yes,
but
we do.
I think today we'll find the right person.
Yeah, I don't think we can go wrong. Ms. Cuthbert, you wanted to?
I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with both, and I've known both for a long time. Mr. Agner, although I was not at New Smyrna Beach High School at the time, he did graduate from one of my schools. My husband knew him very well, especially as a student. And of course, I've worked with Mr. Huth a long time. Both are very community-minded, actively involved in civic groups, so I was greatly impressed with both. Mr. Huth addressed the fact that he was a teacher all the way through administrator, that Volusia County Schools is a family affair, and it truly is. We're very unique in our culture. He says that the interim superintendent is not just a caretaker position, that one must be a bold leader and has to make sure that the tough decisions are made and that questions are answered. He addressed funding, he addressed instruction, and as well instructional issues as well as operations. I did note that some of his, when I asked him some information about instructional situations like getting our lower quartile to close the achievement gap of those students, a lot of what he said that he would do, we already do. So, and if he had brought those issues to the district at that time, they've been implemented and they've become very successful. But I was looking for something, what he would do now, not what we've always have done. Mr. Agner has also been very astute. He's also said it was like old home week, seeing people he hadn't seen for a while. He said it was an honor to be selected. And he said you can't make a bad decision. He did up front say that he was the best fit, and then he put forth his entire interview process to establish why he is the best fit. I was very impressed when he said it's a duty to serve, because I too think it is a duty to serve, to vote, to participate in our community effects. Leadership, management, curriculum, national, international, and state. He has experience in everything we're looking for. He does have fresh views, and he gave us specific details and the methodology, how he would accomplish them. So therefore, I am in favor of Mr. Agner.
Okay. All right. I think what I'm going to do is hearing the board, and at this point, if we can get this rolling a little bit, someone wants to make a motion, and then we can have further discussion if that motion gets a second, and then we can move. Is that okay with the board to do that? Okay. So I'm open now for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept Mr. Timothy Agner as interim superintendent of Volusia County Schools.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Mr. Agner. And now further discussion on the motion. That's right. Did you want to say anything? Because I know you mentioned both of them, and I didn't want to cut you off if you needed
No,
to
you
say
didn't.
anything. Okay.
No, I'm fine with the motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is a very difficult decision, I think, for all of us, because both candidates are very worthy. It's not that we're picking one over the other, because both express teamwork. And we both know that both are dedicated to our county and will do the utmost they can to support us. So it's not that one is better than the other, it's just we have to choose. And I think for the position we are in at this point in time, that we need fresh new ideas. That's why I believe Mr. Agner is the best.
Yes, okay. Well, I will say that it's extremely difficult for me. I've known them both forever, it seems, and have the highest regard for each of them. Each of them present a little bit different skill set to it. Obviously, Tim Agner is more of the academician, if you will, and that's the way Tim always has been. Tim Huth, on the other hand, has been more of the community-minded person, as evidenced by he still is involved in so many organizations, from the Speedway to Halifax Health to Futures and on and on and on and on and on. His family's been great. The fact that he still substitute teaches, and anyone that volunteers in the cafeteria, you has to have your praise. So it's just very hard not to like Tim Huth, and the fact that he was a deputy superintendent. It was funny when they were both interviewing. I was thinking to myself, if we were interviewing for the permanent superintendent, I was kind of leaning more toward Tim Agner, and if it would lean more for the interim, I was leaning more toward Tim Huth. And the only reason why I say that is because I think, because of the short time we have before everything just starts going, it seems like I think Tim could jump in the saddle quicker and get what we need to get done.
Which Tim?
Tim Huth could in a quicker fashion, only because he still lives here, he knows everything about this place. As far as being competent-wise, I think they're both great. I loved, and I know that you loved, how they both stressed communication. Communication with the board, communication with teachers, with parents, community. They were both so good about that. I mean, I don't think there was anything either one of them said that I disliked, which I thought was just awesome. And these are Volusia County people, and the fact that they wanted to come back and to help us, I just think it just shows how much they love this district. I certainly agreed with so much of what Tim Agner said and did, and it isn't like any of these two are like blowing smoke. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these are honest, hardworking. They have proven records. They're up here because they want to be here and they want to help us. So I have full confidence. If I had a hat and it could pick out a name, I'd be happy with it. I mean, that's really how torn I am on this whole on this whole process. But I do want whoever it is to have all of our support. So, and I believe that person will. That person had all of our support before today, and I don't think anything would change after that. So there's a motion on the floor. If the motion does not get the full 5 votes, let's just say, I'd like to have the maker of the motion do a revote so we can vote again, and so that if indeed we can get that, all of us on the same page, because I'm feeling like there's going to be at least 3 votes on that way. So we have a motion for Mr. Agner, from Mr. Agner, and a second was by Ms. Haines. So Ms. Cuthbert made the motion, Ms. Haines did the second for Mr. Agner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, aye. And now can we ask you to make a revote, Ms. Cuthbert?
So you want me to make another motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept, I guess, the resume and the recommendation of his own recommendation that we nominate him as our interim superintendent for Volusia County Schools.
Right. And I need a second on that.
I will happily second that.
Okay, and now all those in favor of Tim Agner to be our interim superintendent, and this is all contingent upon the negotiations that will take place between Mr. Agner, Mr. Doran, and myself, and our goal with that would be to have this brought back to the board by our next school board meeting, June 25th, and if that's agreeable with everyone, okay. And also the understanding is that he would agree to serve in the capacity of a consultant for those few days remaining in June until Mr. Russell leaves, and then become the official superintendent on July 1st. Having said all that, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed. And Mr. Agner, congratulations. If you're listening, you are our next superintendent, and we greatly appreciate that. Ms. Messina, could you mind coming forward just so we can make sure we have not overlooked anything before we adjourn this meeting?
Well, you do have some other matters on the agenda,
Yes,
but
yes,
I didn't know
yeah.
you're getting ready to make
adjourn this part of the meeting, I should
Okay,
say.
that's what I was going to say. Recess the meeting so you could go make a phone call yourself.
Yes.
As we discussed
Yes,
to the
okay.
candidate who received. No, everything else, as long as the board's clear that the negotiations would begin, giving the authority to the chair and the board attorney with Mr. Agner. That's
Okay,
all done.
that's what we're going to do. Yes, Ms. Cuthbert.
I just want to thank the Florida School Board Association for assisting us in this endeavor. You made it a very pleasant experience, so thank you so much for all your professionalism. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I
It's our
think she speaks for the whole board on that one. Thank you, and so that the audience now knows what is happening, we're going to take a brief recess. And when we come back, we're going to be listening and watching presentations from 3 companies, 5 companies?
Yeah, 5 companies. I'm not sure how many are in the audience.
Okay, so we're going to be listening to presentations from companies who are interested in conducting the search for our permanent superintendent. A couple of those will be through Skype, and some of those will be in person. But for now, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back at 2:45 to reconvene the meeting. Thank you.
use the microphone right here. The Woodrow went out and will not take the extension.
It seems as if it timed out. I'm getting nothing. Yes. Okay, let me write that down. 20236. Okay. Hashtag at the end or no? Yes. Bye.
Company's HYA. HYA. Yeah, HYA. Oh, you don't have to.
I'll get to that.
We'll have to turn on the computer.
Okay, we are going to reconvene the meeting, and now we are on item 4.01, selection of consultant firm to conduct our superintendent search. Our first presentation will be from, is it
HYA.
HYA? I can see you through the magic of Skype here. We are allowing up to 20 minutes of a presentation. Mike, I'm looking at you. Can he hear me? Can he hear what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. And if you're just board members, are we all good? Everybody's engaged? Okay, and if you would introduce yourself, sir, and your title, and you have the floor.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of Hazard Young and Atia HYA. I'm Bill Adams, former president for the East Coast of the organization and currently a vice president and senior associate. By way of background, HYA has been around for 30 plus years. In fact, we had the opportunity to meet two of you who were on the board in 2015 when in person my wife and I did a presentation, but weren't successful that time, so maybe we'll do a little better by Skype this time. I've done approximately either overseeing or conducting searches, about 55. The firm has done about 1,200 over time. The most recent search that I just completed was Beaufort County, South Carolina. In fact, they hired the regional superintendent for Palm Beach County, Florida. Currently a resident of Florida, in fact, would be there today if it weren't for the culmination of a 9-month strategic plan that we're presenting tonight to a district in New Jersey. I was a former superintendent myself, 36 years, and what may be a little unique, in the same district for 36 years as superintendent. Learned a lot about governance during that time and also leadership and educational leadership. Off of our team over that time, 8 superintendents, 7 principals, 2 college presidents, and 1 assistant commissioner. Have done a number of searches in Florida, while with another company did both Broward and Collier County, and most recently oversaw the Duval County search. also done some Commissioner of Ed searches, and I noticed that Pam was one of your candidates while listening to the earlier session, and have done the Florida Commissioner search, Rhode Island, Ohio, Maryland, and Mississippi. HYA is one of the top leading educational leadership firms in the country, and I saw who the competitors were, and all do credible jobs. However, I think there are a number of things that set us aside as you look at our signature process. You should have two documents in front of you. One is the technical proposal, the other is the signature process. I'm pretty much, because of the time limit, just going to go through the technical proposal and refer very briefly to each stage of the process and how we're involved in the process. And I think what makes for a successful search. I heard the words trust and respect earlier when you were considering your interim. And certainly that becomes critical with any relationships. We also, I think what's important is the right fit for the district based on current needs. And certainly as we did our background work, there's a lot to be done with achievement gaps and a lot to be done over the next, I guess, going through 2030 or 2031 with the half-cent tax and a lot of the construction that will take place during the coming years, the next 10 to 11 years. So as you look at that, and certainly the desire to have a leader that takes you from where you are with the team that you have and builds on that is important. It seemed like it took a long time to go from a C rating to a B rating, and I did a niche review today, and they have a B minus rating as I look there. So that all becomes important as part of the engagement process, which is the first part of the process. If we were selected, our team would begin with a planning meeting, hopefully within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, with the board, depending on whether your desire is to have your interim through the end of 2019 or whether you're looking for a start date for the permanent superintendent of July 1. So if it were January 1, 2020, there'd be one timeline. If it were to be July 1st, it would be another timeline. But during that planning meeting, all of that would be determined along with the number of stakeholders and what stakeholders you would want to involve in development of the leadership profile and in development of characteristics that we would use for recruiting. And as I mentioned out front, certainly the fit is one of the most important phases of the process. Once we engage stakeholders, we do have a research-based community survey that we use and can disaggregate that by up to 6 groups and would provide that information to the board all within the first month to 6 weeks of being appointed and conducting that planning meeting, whenever the planning meeting took place. The next phase of the process would be the recruitment part of the process. And generally, we like anywhere between 45 and 60 days. It can be done in less, and the range usually runs between 30 and 60 days for recruitment to do a national search. That certainly includes Florida, the region, and the country. That national search would involve, and one of the things that we would do at the planning meeting is determine the advertising, and we might have an opportunity to speak briefly to that. We have 3 advertising packages that HYA offers. You don't have to use us. However, we do get discounted prices and do package them based on the size and scope of the district and really the desire to be as broad and diverse as possible when we do the advertising. About half of the recruits will come in through advertising, and the other half will come in through direct recruiting, people that they don't know want to come to Volusia County at this time. And that's one of the very important parts of the process. Once the recruitment phase is underway, we try to keep the board informed through a board portal, and that would be one of the things that would set HYA aside from competitors. The fact that we try to do everything electronically. In fact, we have a 3% surcharge if you want everything done in paper documents. The portal will allow complete access to the search as we go along. Everything from the leadership profile to eventually the candidates are posted on the portal. So that becomes an important access. It's a closed portal for the board only. Well aware of Florida sunshine laws and FERPA, and that generally in Florida, when a person presses the button, it's public information. That has an impact on the number of candidates that apply and when they apply in the process. And so we're conscious of that even to the application process. We've had some rulings with the Florida AG where even personal cell phone numbers cannot be redacted. So that's all considered out front as part of the process and working locally in state. The select phase of the process is the next phase, and in that phase, what we do is present to the board a slate of potential candidates based on the characteristics you identified from both the board's decision as a collective body and also from the stakeholder input. From that group of 6 to 12, usually it's a paper screen. We use a couple of different processes to assist you in narrowing the field. With this being a 5-person board, it can be a little more wide open. We sometimes will use a Delphi technique where boards are larger. Although we'd explain all of that as part of the planning process. Once you narrow down, we go into the, and all of this can be done through the portal, the interview process for semi-finalists once they're identified, and then finalists, and we'll oversee all of those meetings as part of the process, and then also assist with the introduction of the candidates selected to the community and to stakeholders. We provide a transition meeting as possible, or a transition meeting if requested. Sorry for the trying to talk fast and get as much in 20 minutes as possible. We do offer a number of guarantees. Our price is fixed and includes all of the search services, but advertising is in addition, and we can, our advertising packages are listed in the accompanying signature process folder that you have. And we also offer a client satisfaction that as long as the majority of you stay in place for 2 years, we will come back to the person who leaves for any reason and do the search just for expenses. The superintendent search today and the superintendent search process today has changed so much because so much is in real time. One of the first things that we do is we look at candidates on a daily basis as we use Frontline, and as candidates come in, our team receives an email that says you have a new application for Volusia County. So we look throughout the process, and one of the first things we do as we review each application is to Google the individual and move on before we do any reference or background check. Once you've selected a finalist, we use a third party, Baker Eubanks, to do a complete investigation. Many of the firms use an electronic review, and those reviews are okay, but we actually have Baker Eubanks send an investigator on the site in the county in which the candidate resides, and the review process begins from there. That review process includes a financial, a criminal civil background check, as well as a credential background check. Many of the search companies do not do the credential background check. The third party we use verifies the institution or agency as well as the credential. We also, in the comprehensive check, do a 10-year media review and a social media review, which we believe is critically important to any candidate, external or internal. That's offered as part of the package and the services, and we can give the financial breakdown of that as well. What I was hoping to do was to respond to questions either about the proposal and or the signature process and elaborate further on those items that might be of greatest interest to you as a board. So with that, I'll stop the formal part and ask for questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Adams. We greatly appreciate you giving us some insight into your company and how you conduct the searches. If you could repeat to me, I was following along pretty carefully, the process, the planning committee, the recruitment. I think you said 30 to 60 days. Is that correct?
Correct. 45 is optimum, 30 is short, and we find anything more than 60 days doesn't yield a whole lot.
Okay, and then you mentioned there were 3 advertising programs, is that, or packages?
Yes. Let me go to, I'm going to move to another screen on my other computer, and if you would at the same time go to the signature process, and you can, if you scroll, I don't know whether you have this electronically or on paper, but if you scroll there, advertising services, package 1 is listed, package 2 and package 3. For a district this size, if you're interested in a national search, I recommend 3, which includes a listing in the HYA group ad during the entire length of the search. So Ed Week, which most of you are educators or educators by background, Ed Week, both online and in print, the online goes for 30 days at a clip. But what we would do in our ad and every other issue, we put a group ad in. There are 39 issues of Ed Week that come out every year. So during the length of the search, we would include that in group 3. We would also do a dedicated specific ad there, as well as the Ed Week online for 30 days. And then AASA, the American Association of School Administrators, 30 days. And then a posting on our website. We also do, although LinkedIn is not listed here, we do LinkedIn as well. And then we do some things with social media, and then K-12 job spot. We also recommend for this type of search that we use a very inexpensive package with ALIS and NASB. ALIS is the Association of Latino School Administrators, and NASB, the National Alliance of Black Educators. It's only $520, but it spreads our information out across a very diverse population, and we recommend that in conjunction with whatever package is taken. So that's the advertising package portion of it. If you were interested in looking at the specifics under the due diligence that we do with Baker Eubanks, and you either scroll or went to the next section of that document, executive due diligence includes what we call the comprehensive and the basic background checks.
Dr. Adams, could you repeat what you said about the price fixed and what comes with that cost? What we get for
that includes all search services. It includes all meetings that we attend. Generally, we provide 4 consultant days for stakeholder meetings. You might even want to look at a district this size, adding a few additional. in Beaufort. Two of us spent a week recently. They're 524 square miles. You're over 1,000 square miles. So when you're as large geographically and with this, the diversity of the county, that becomes an important part of it. But for the number right now in the package that's presented, it's 4 consultant days for stakeholder input. There's a day for planning meetings. Generally, although the package doesn't include being present at the interview process, most of us as consultants, as long as the expenses are covered, will cover those because we like to continue to guide the process. And although you have counsel present at most activities, we like to make sure there are no questions asked of candidates that would be inappropriate or that could in any way compromise the search. So all basics are included. What's not included is probably what to ask, and that is advertising. The advertising is is separate, and advertising can run anywhere from about $2,000 to around $6,800, depending on the packages taken. What's not included are consultant expenses, and I am a Florida resident, would primarily come from Naples, Florida, to the site. I live in Collier County, although I do work out of New Jersey as well, and I have gotten a lot of inexpensive Spirit flights from Atlantic City, New Jersey to Fort Myers for around $59, and sometimes it's less expensive to fly if you can get into Orlando or Daytona from Atlantic City than to drive. But those expenses are different. I'm estimating with the team and the selection of the team. I have another team member in Cape Coral, another team member in Fairfax, Virginia, and one in Chicago, one in Delaware, there'd be probably, you could figure on expenses being somewhere around $5,000. That would be in addition. And then we would recommend, depending on how many finalists you would want to bring and whether you would bring finalists to the public, whether it would be solely a board, what it would cost to bring your candidates on site for finalists, and how many you would want to do due diligence. We'll do the background check, but the due diligence is using a professional investigator. And that can run anywhere from about $1,000 a candidate basic, or if you go the full-blown media, social media, $1,950 a candidate. And we strongly recommend it on the final candidate, if not the top 2, depending on how many finalists you actually decide. And we'd like to discuss that at the planning meeting.
Sure. Okay, Dr. Adams, we're just about out of time here. I want to ask the board if you have any questions for Dr. Adams. Any board member? Yes, Mr. Cologne.
Dr. Adams, and I am new to this process, but I have a question. We do know of some local candidates who are interested in applying for the position. Is there anything that would decrease the cost should those folks be selected as superintendent?
Generally, no. And I say that because if you have local or internal candidates, and the last time I think you went with an internal candidate, if you have an internal candidate, one of the things that a national search does, if that person is selected by you, the board, it verifies that they were the best person that you could get nationally or regionally or however you want to compare them. It validates that individual. The work that we do is the same. We're going to do the same amount of work with stakeholders that we do whether you select someone internally or externally. We're going to do the same amount of work with vetting candidates whether you select someone internally or externally. So the answer is generally no. That's maybe not the answer you want to hear, but
it's okay.
And maybe a little longer than what you want to hear. But that's the process we follow.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cologne. Dr. Adams, any other board members have a question for Dr. Adams? All right, Dr. Adams, I believe that's it. Unless you want to make a final comment, I'll give you a minute.
Well, as I said, we believe HYA has, first of all, we have experience in Florida. I understand Florida. The last two that I was last three that I was directly involved in, superintendents are still on the job, although admittedly Duval was a recent appointment, and that was an internal state candidate. So was Collier County, an in-state candidate, not an internal candidate. She came out of Miami-Dade. And Broward, although I know Bob Muncie's having some difficulties now as a result of the tragedy in Parkland, was also, and he came out of Chicago. So we've had some great success in state, understand the state, understand the anomalies, especially when it comes to the sunshine laws and what can be and what cannot be done. I understand the need for fit, and that each of those 67 counties is different. And where you are is different than Collier, and certainly, Collier is different than the Lee. So we understand that. So I think that along with the fact that the board would have an electronic portal as part of the process, and I think our due diligence is second to none.
All right, Dr. Adams, we'll have to leave it at that. So thank you so much. And we hope to be discussing all of these companies by the end of the day, and we'll go from there. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Yes, and now we are calling. Is that McPherson Jacobson?
Yes.
Okay. You have hard copies as well as.
No, there's only on the internet because some of these were hundreds of pages.
Okay, so what is this though?
Oh, this one they did send in a hard copy.
Okay.
I don't have them for everybody.
Okay.
They furnished this one.
All right, great.
They had it overnighted to me.
Thank you for calling McPherson and Jacobson. This is Amy. How can I help you?
Yes, this is Volusia County Schools for Thomas Jacobson.
One moment.
This is Tom Jacobson.
Yes, this is the Volusia County School Board. We are ready for your presentation. We'll just have to do it by audio.
I understand it's too bad that the Skype wasn't working, but I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today via the telephone. Do you want me to just start?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. My name is Carl Persis. I'm the chair. All the members of the school board are present, along with our school board attorney. And of course, you just spoke with Connie Speier, our agency clerk. So you go right ahead. We've allocated up to 20 minutes.
All right, and you have a copy of our proposal, I take it?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, well, I'm going to work quickly through that and make sure there's enough time for questions from board members.
Thank you.
I want to start off with, my name's Tom Jacobson. I'm the CEO and owner of McPherson and Jacobson. And if we are selected to be your search firm, I will be the lead consultant. I have a national team that works with me, and we have done Orange County, Duval County, Wake County in North Carolina, Jefferson County in Kentucky, and it's a great team that works with me. We're a leading national firm. We've done over 750 searches in our history, and I've got 120 consultants in 32 states to help reach out. One of the things I want to point out that's not in the proposal, we don't hire superintendents. That's not what we do. What we do is we have a decision-making model that we take you through as a board. This is your process. We want you to own the process. We want you to feel invested in the process. We're there to assist you and take you through it and guide you through it, but it's yours, and we want to make sure that you have ownership in it. When we decided to become a national leading firm back in 1994, we took a look at other national firms and asked what would set us apart. We hung we hung our hat on transparency. And I know in Florida, that's a requirement in your state that everything is open, but that's not true in other places. But we believe in that. We believe public business should be done in public, and we believe that there should be high input from state. And I'll tell you how we do that while keeping the board in control. We are recruiters of talent, and that's one of the major reasons to hire a firm is that our network, our ability to reach out and recruit individuals. Some of our best candidates are not looking for work, but we do track the careers of successful administrators. And if we think they are matching what you're telling us you're looking for, we will actively reach out and recruit those individuals. And then finally, the thing I want to start before I quickly go through our protocol is our retention rate. According to the National School Board Association and the Council of Greater City Schools, average tenure of superintendents across the nation is between 3.2 and 4.2 years. For the past 5 years, 75% of our placements are still in the job for which we place them. For the past 10 years, over 50% are still in the job for which we place them. And for the past 15 years, almost 50% are still there. And that's important because the research of Marzano and Waters show sustainability of leadership at the top level increases student achievement. And we're very proud of that retention rate. We've divided our process into 5 phases. I'll quickly take you through those phases and tell you what we do. We start with working with the board. We have a research-based consensus decision-making model called nominal group technique. And we take you through and have you surface top 4, 5, 6 qualities you want in your new superintendent as they come in. And we're going to use that once you've done that in our recruiting piece. We'll also take you through setting timelines and target dates. We create a calendar that fits your calendar. When you want the superintendent to start and backload a calendar, working with you as a board to make sure that it's workable for you. We will talk to you about stakeholder groups that we'll come in and meet with. Typical stakeholder groups are teachers, students, classified staff, principals, central office staff. But when we take a look at the community, every community is unique. So we're going to ask you to identify for us who are the community groups you want us to meet with. At a minimum, we'd like to have 2 or 3 open community forums where individuals can come and meet with the consultants and give input. But every district's unique. So we're going to ask you as a board who else you want us to meet with. We have met with ministerial alliances, business leaders, governmental groups. Whatever is unique to your community, we want to make sure that we have that covered and that we're meeting with them to do that. We'll take a look at advertising included in our fee. We advertise on the state school board associations in every state, the state administrators associations every state. It also goes on our website, which gets between 200,000 and 300,000 hits a month, being a national firm. So that's another good way of reaching out to individuals to do that. Once you've given us those groups, we will schedule meetings with them. We will have a team of consultants in your community, probably for 3-4 days, 5 days if necessary, meeting with those groups. And when we meet with the groups, we want to meet with everybody. We want to meet with all the teachers if we can, all the students, whatever. We know that we can't reach everybody, so we also do have an online survey that goes out to people that cannot attend those meetings. Our goal is there's nobody in your community that say they did not have an opportunity to provide input into this process. When we meet with those groups, we have 4 questions we ask them. First 2 are, tell us the good things about your community, and tell us the good things about your school district. That's important because this is a 2-way decision-making process. And we're selling you to candidates as much as we are getting good candidates in front of you. So we need to know what's good there, what we can use to attract candidates to apply for the position. The last 2 questions are, the third question is, what are the issues here? If you could talk to this new superintendent as he or she comes in, what would you want them to know? And every school district has issues. Might be increasing enrollment, declining enrollment, facility issues, financial issues, whatever they are, we want to surface that. And we share that with the candidates, that here are the challenges and opportunities as you are looking at this job as you come in to do that. And then the fourth question we ask those groups, based on that, what do you think the skills, qualities, and characteristics are this new person should have to be successful? We take that along with what you've told us, and that creates a matrix as we recruit and screen candidates to do that. We're the operation. We do everything for you except interview candidates. We do need a point of contact in the district to help us. That person basically helps coordinate our visitations and logistics working in the district to do that. We develop an application that's unique to yours. It's online application, and our candidates all now apply electronically. We don't have a stable candidates. We don't know what you're looking for until we meet with you. But we do track the careers individuals, and once we get what you're looking for, we will reach out to them. Also, individuals can register with us on our website if they're on the job market. We've got about 3,500 individuals that registered with us. And what we do is once we get an opening and the criteria, they will receive an email that here's the position, here's what the board is looking for. We are recruiters, and that's a big piece of hiring a consultant firm, is our ability to network, reach out, and recruit individuals that we think would be a good match. Our consultants all are or have been involved in public education. They're all educators. We have a number of current superintendents that work with us, and they're connected nationally. And that helps us with our recruiting piece as we go about and do that. Also, we send out notices to all our 120 consultants once you've identified what you're looking for, saying, here's what the district is looking for. Who do you know in your state that have these characteristics? Send their names to us so that we can reach out and talk to them. We communicate on a regular basis with all board members. Again, a very transparent process, and making sure that you're in the loop and knowing what's going on. Phase 3, and I think this is one we do better than anybody else, and this is the vetting process. What we do is we read through every completed application and start scoring them based on that matrix, looking at what these people have that would be meeting. In the application, they're going to be writing that selection criteria you've given us and talking about how they meet that. We're going to begin a sorting process and talking amongst ourselves, who do we think are meeting the criteria this district's looking for and how we can bring that forth. Based on that, we then begin our in-depth reference checking. And what we do, and I've been involved in HR for 45 years. I've yet to see a person that puts a reference down that doesn't like them. We know that. We call those individuals. We ask them a list of questions based on what you're looking for and asking about the person's strengths. But we have 2 questions at the end that we've learned along the way. Second and last question we ask these individuals are, is there anything in this person's background, if it became public information, would be an embarrassment to this district? That's a question we learned along the way. We used to say, are there any skeletons or anything you want to share with us? Very easy to say no to that. But when you phrase it, is there anything in the background that became public information that would be an embarrassment? I'm going to say 99% of the time there's nothing. Occasionally there's a hesitation. And what we say is, we're professional consultants. This is confidential information. What would you like to share with me? Just because we hear from one person doesn't make it true. So our last question is, would you give us a name or 2 or 3 individuals that could speak to this person's ability? They do. We call them. We ask them the same list of questions, including, would you give us a name or 3 individuals that can speak to this person's ability? We go a minimum of 3 removed from primary references. We also do cold calling. We'll call people in the district and talk to mayors and talk to individuals we may know in the district. to do that. What we're looking for is consistency of answers. What are the strengths? What are the deficiencies these individuals have? Now, when we come in and meet with you, we bring, and in Florida, this is law, the name of everybody that applied, but we will create a short list, a list of individuals that we believe are most closely meeting what you say you're looking for. And we will have a complete write-up and background on those individuals and notes from the reference checking we do. We also will create a 9-minute video on each of them, asking them 3 questions, which we will use for you to take a look at. We're going to share those, and it's typically 6, 7, sometimes 8, 9 individuals that are making the short list. We're going to bring those into you, let you see them, give the explanation, and from there have you decide how many you wish to interview and narrow that field down to do it. And that video really helps doing that. We work with you on developing interview questions around your selection criteria so that you have those when you're in the interview process. We will assist you in setting up the interview process. Typically, it's a full day where the candidate will come in and be greeted by a board member. They'll get a quick tour of the community and a school or two. And then our recommendation is those stakeholder groups we initially met with, we want to involve them again in the interview process. Now, when we come and meet with them, we want to meet with everybody that we can. When we get to the interview process, we recommend that be a committee. And let me use teachers as an example. It'd be a committee of about 8 to 12 teachers that are representative of your teachers group, elementary, secondary, union, non-union, whatever. And same thing with the student body and the principals and the community group. They'll have an opportunity to meet the candidate, ask them questions, and even as important is an opportunity for the candidate to ask. We work with the chair people of these groups in coordinating all of that. And we tell the chair people, you're doing 2 things here. You are selling yourself and the district to the candidate, and you're going to form an opinion on the candidate that you're going to share with the board. And the way we do that is immediately after they've met with the candidate, they have a form to fill out. And it says, John Doe, Jane Doe, here's what we liked about them. Here's what we saw as strengths. And question 2, here's any questions or issues we have with them. They put that information into an envelope, they seal it, they give it to a contact person. Once you have interviewed everybody and have had your discussions and working on a ranking, you then open and read those. A few years ago, I was working with a board where they had 4 candidates, interviewed them. The board was deadlocked on 2 of them. After an hour and a half, I said, let's open and read those interview forms. And all the groups had one of the candidates above the other one. So meaningful input into that decision, but keeping you as a board in control. Sometimes one candidate just comes right to the top, and that helps too. We take care of coordinating the interview process, the visitation. We'll work with the groups, typically a 2-person decision. So we recommend that there be something for the significant other or spouse when the candidate comes in. That's an expanded tour. And let them see, while the candidate is meeting with those stakeholder groups, the spouse or significant other gets an expanded tour of your community, looking at housing, recreational things, shopping, places of worship, the things that are important to them, for them to move, sell a house and move to your community. This is, again, a 2-way decision-making process. And we want to make sure at the end of the day, when the candidate and spouse are getting ready to go home, they said, what a great spot. We met some really fine people. I hope they offer us a job. So we take care of that. We take care of the final arrangements for the visit. We take care of setting the dates with the candidate. Those people that did not receive an interview, we send them a personalized letter on your behalf, thanking them for being part of the process. The ones that were interviewed but weren't offered the job, they get a personal phone call from us thanking them for being part of the process. Also included in our process, we do on your final candidate, a criminal, financial, and academic verification of those final candidates, that final candidate. And the final piece, phase 5, and I think this goes a lot towards our retention rate. We come back and work with you as a board and your new superintendent for 1 year. We meet with you. We have you establish performance objectives for that first year for your new superintendent. 2 or 3 things you want them to focus on outside of the day-to-day operation of this complex organization. We then turn to you as board members and say, once you've established, have these performance expectations, what evidence you will accept that they're making progress towards that. What that is doing is clarifying expectations, getting communication going between the superintendent and the board, and making sure there's a smooth transition. With that 1-year transition, we offer a 2-year guarantee. If anything happens in that 2 years, if the person becomes ill and can't continue the job, we come back and conduct your search for expenses only. We are with you until you have successfully hired. If we get down to the end and you've interviewed some candidates and say, Tom, we've met some nice people, but we haven't found our superintendent, we're with you. We don't want you to hire a body to have somebody there. We want you to have the right person, and we want that retention rate to continue. In addition to owning this business, I teach at the university. I teach people that are going to be principals and superintendents, and I will tell you, I don't lecture this much in my classes. Let me stop talking and respond to your questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you walking us through the 5 stages there. Questions from any board members? Yes, Mr. Cologne.
So I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. Are you saying that for the fee, you all do not come on site and help facilitate the interviews?
I'm sorry, it broke up there a little bit. Could you repeat the question?
So my question is, for the fee mentioned, did I hear you say that you all do not come on site and help facilitate the actual interviews?
Oh, we will, yes. If that's, and that's up to the board. If you want us there, we're there.
Is that something that's included in the base price that's mentioned?
We charge extra for that, and I think it's $300 a day for our consultant to be there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cologne. Further questions from the board? No. All right, then we thank you. We are listening to presentations this afternoon, and we will hope to make a decision by the end of the day. Thank you, Dr. Jacobson.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I want you to know that if we are selected, that we would like to meet with you and get the process started as soon as possible.
We agree on that. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that was the second one. What do we have next?
We've got Ray and requested to go last.
Sure, okay. Ray and Associates. Do we have hard copies for them?
They're on here, but what about the GovH?
I have not heard anything
USA.
from them.
Okay. They're all posted on.
I thought they did send us something.
They sent it, but she hasn't heard anything from them to present.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4,
1,
5.
2,
Yes.
3, 4, 5.
There's 5 posted.
Yes, that'd be great if you sit right there in center. And do we have to do anything differently with cameras? Yeah, if we can have just a 2-minute break here so we get set up.
Holy smokes.
Thank you.
Okay, if you can get their presentation. All right, we are back, and we are now going to be hearing, and I don't know, do you have a PowerPoint as well, or just?
No, we don't.
We don't. Okay, great. So this is Ray and Associates.
Ray and Associates, yep.
And if you just introduce yourselves so people are listening to this, and give your names and your titles, let's say.
Okay, absolutely. Let me first say thank you for allowing us to be here today to find your next leader. So,
and just pull that microphone a little bit closer to you. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better. Thank you.
So my name is Ryan Ray. I'm the president of Ray and Associates, and I will go ahead and introduce Amy Nisi.
Hi, I'm Amy Nisi. I'm a resident of Brevard County, Florida, your southern neighbor, and I've been with Ray and Associates at least 3 years now, working on superintendent searches. There are actually going to be 4 of us if you so choose us to work on this search. My cohort in this who couldn't be here, she has the luxury of being up in Alaska right now, and we tried to get her to fly back in for this, but she wouldn't have it. So I don't know if the name Sandy Garrow means anything, but she was a school board member down in Palm Beach County. And she has a very strong background in HR, so she would be working with us on this search.
And our other individual would be Alvin Johnson. Alvin is a HR person at heart, also former superintendent, and aligns himself with NAPSE, which is the National Alliance of Black School Educators.
Yes. Aren't you doing one in Marion County?
We are doing Marion County.
Okay.
So actually, I myself and Amy are included in that search. So yes. One of the things I really like about being president of the company is that I can pick and choose which districts I want to work on. And as you can tell, I got up at 2 a.m. and flew from St. Louis, Missouri here today. So I want to work this search. That's why I'm here in person.
Thank you so much. And the floor is yours.
Okay. So we understand that you're getting a lot of information thrown at you. You're hearing about a process, and to be quite honest with you, which I'm going to be the whole search, is that a lot of the information is the same. And so if you open up your packets, there's a sheet that says, why hire Ray and Associates? So instead of walking you through some of the same things that you've heard from other companies, we want to go ahead and talk about what sets us apart from those companies. So the biggest thing that we want to go ahead and tell you is that our process is flexible, and I can't say enough, it's your search. You know, if you want things tailored your way, we will make that happen. So we're not going to come in here with a cookie cutter situation and tell you exactly the way it has to be. We'll work with you. But we are the most experienced search firm in the nation. We are the oldest and largest search firm that does this kind of work. And we strictly handle finding educational leaders. So we have been in business for, I think it's now 44 years. So we've been in this business a long time, and we have 160 associates across the country that help us with this work. So it's absolutely valued the experience.
Well, and this is all we do.
Correct.
Is hire educational leaders. We dedicate ourselves full time, whether that's a superintendent, we've done commissioners of education, we've done principals. Our total focus, full time, is education.
Yeah. In the past 2 years, we've done 3 commissioner of education searches. We can customize the candidate profile utilizing the board and stakeholders and public input in the process. So yes, we'll meet with whatever stakeholders you want us to meet with. There is going to be 4 of us, which allows the unique opportunity that one of us can be in the north of the county, one of us in the south, and east and west. So we're going to get out there and be able to meet with them. But we also want to have one-on-one conversations with you as well. Okay? And we provide a variety of foreign language surveys at no cost. So when we're out there meeting with the constituents, there's also going to be an online survey that people can take, and it's qualities that you would like to see in the next superintendent. There's 33. The catch is that you can only select 10 of the 33 qualities that you want to see. And so we'll provide that in a multitude of languages for your community.
The next thing we'll give you is our full-time office staff, and we're not talking about one person that's serving all of our searches across the country. We have several people in our office that will be working with the applications and all the paperwork involved, because I have no doubt that your central office is like many school offices. It's not overstaffed by any means, and especially at the beginning of the school year, they're very busy, and this is one thing that we can take off of their plate. We've got this covered.
Yeah, they've got jobs already. And Molly and Kathy, I know that they're watching right now. We have a great experienced staff, and we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't have all this material if it wasn't for them. So
thank you to them. Shout out to them. We also have the largest diverse recruiting network in the country. And we talk over 160 associates, and we're talking all the way across the country. You know, I kind of brag to people, we've done searches in all 50 states. I wasn't lucky enough to go to Hawaii or Alaska, but we have actually been in all 50 states, and we have people out there in all of the states. We have them working at colleges. They work at local school districts. They work in different offices. They're always out there talking to people, recruiting people into various other parts, because sometimes we may find, I know you're very big on having local people here in Volusia County, what I heard earlier. There may be somebody that's out on the West Coast that grew up here and doesn't know that there's going to be an opening and is looking to coming back to this county. We would love to be able to put the two of you together if it's a good match. So that's something that we're very good at doing. Is it's a nationwide search. You know, a lot of times you'll get a statewide search, but we feel Volusia County, I mean, you're in the top 50 in size in the United States. You deserve a search that's nationwide, and I think that's very important.
I cannot agree more. We're going to get you Florida people, no doubt, absolutely. We're going to get you the people from around the region in Georgia, but we can also reach out to people out there in Washington, Oregon, and possibly even Maine.
The other part of our recruiting process we think is very important. You know, the county I live in is very much like yours, where the population is changing, demographics are changing. It's very important that your leadership positions are filled with minorities that represent your community. We have more applications and more recruiting in those areas than any others, and I feel very comfortable that we're not talking about 1 or 2 applications. We're talking about our average application pool is 70 applications, with a large portion of those being from minority candidates. And these are strong candidates that we'll bring to you that will fit the profile. So that's an area that we feel we could offer Volusia County that might be something you're looking for.
And we affiliate ourselves with several organizations such as NABC, the National Alliance of Black School Educators, as well as ALIS, which is the Latino Administrators. In fact, we just went over to New York City and did a cohort with some of their people for ALIS. So we pride ourselves with that. And we also place more women and minorities than any other search firm in the country.
The best part of our process that I like, you know, you'll hear search firms talk about when they bring you that pool of candidates. So we've got those 70 applications. You can see all 70 of them, that's not a problem, but we'll bring to you who we feel are the 8 to 12 that best fit the characteristics. And as we said before, this is your search. I know you mentioned we're doing Marion County, but what we do for them is not going to mirror you. You're 2 very different school districts. You're going to have 2 very different profiles on what you want for superintendents. So when we say it's your search, they're going to look very different, and that's what we want, because this is the most important job I believe you have as a school board member.
It is.
Who you pick as your superintendent is going to make a difference, and that, you know, if you have a good match between board and superintendent, then the sky's the limit, I think, for your community. But when we bring those 8 to 12 candidates, those candidates will have been thoroughly screened. You know, we pride ourselves on no surprises. We've done reference checks. We've done background checks. We've talked with, I've called reporters in areas and asked them things that they know. We check certifications. We do, you know, there's nothing worse. When I was sitting in your chair, there was nothing worse than hearing something from someone about a candidate that I didn't hear already from the firm that we hired. And not to say that mistakes don't happen, because they do. You know, when you're dealing with a human process, people make mistakes. But we work very hard not to ever put you in a position where surprises come out. So that's something, when you get those candidates, anything that's out there that we think is possibly to find, you will know about in advance. And then you'll decide how you want to narrow that down, who you want to bring in, whether you want to have a committee or not. Some communities want to have a committee. We've had committees as much as 21 people. We have school boards that don't want a committee. That is totally up to you. What is going to work best for you as a school board to find your next leader?
Okay. I also want to talk about aggressively recruiting top candidates. We use the term aggressively recruit because you do not want a superintendent that is looking through the want ads. You want a superintendent that has a good job now. And so it's our job to go out there and talk about Volusia County and how they may be a match. There is absolutely, positively no markup on search expenses, including advertising expenses. You know, we're not a firm that comes in and says, this is where you need to advertise. We don't want to spend your money. But what we will do is come in and say, here's places that you can get your, you know, the best bang for your buck, all right? We use a scoring matrix for the board members to build consensus on candidates. So when you get down to those top 8 to 10 candidates, as Amy was talking about, it's a forced matrix where you have to pit every candidate against another candidate. It builds consensus, it gets a lot of the talk out of the way, and it has been a proven tool for over 44 years for boards. Again, we'll tailor the interview process and questions with you. We'll go over first round questions, second round questions. If you want to create your own questions, we can do that and help you along that way. Again, we're with you for this ride and for this journey. We're not going to just fade into the sunset and then come back with a stack of papers, all right?
The other skill that I think we're very confident in is the Florida Sunshine Laws. Hiring a superintendent, you know, there are very strict laws on what you can and can't do in the sunshine and not, but there also is important that you have opportunity to meet with the candidates privately. So there are processes that we can put in place, not that you as a group can meet alone with candidates, but you individually can meet alone individually with candidates. There are ways that we can do it so that you can meet with candidates, and there are processes. I guess what I'm trying to say as I'm rambling here, because I was also up at 3 a.m. this morning, is that I understand those laws. We're going to work within those sunshine laws, but there are also ways to work within those sunshine laws and give you opportunities to get to know the candidates and ask the questions that you really want to ask. Because I find it really hard to hire someone when you have cameras in on you, when you know everyone's watching everything you say, everything you do, everything, you know, and there's times where you just want to have a chat one-on-one over a cup of coffee with somebody. And we can provide some opportunities along the way that will be well within the law. And then the last two things, I know you'll hear this a lot, but we have the 2-year guarantee. We've had it for a long time. And the reason that we can easily provide the 2-year guarantee on our services is because our superintendents last on average 8 years. And you know, some of them, and that's an average. I'm a math teacher. I think I know I was talking with Jamie about that, former math teacher too. Averages, you might have someone 20 years, someone 5 years, but on average they last 8 years because we spend a lot of time up front. And I'm a firm believer in you either pay now or you pay later. And if you put the time in now up front and we figure out what it is that you're looking for, what it is that the community needs, and then we find the candidates that meet those qualities and we find that match, then they're going to be here for the long run. And so that's why we have the average, and we're not going to poach from your district. So if we get another job next year, we're not going to come knocking on this person's door. We don't do that either. So
we call it making a match in a marriage. You got to marry the right candidate to the right district. Otherwise, it's going to end up in divorce, and we have to come back and use our 2-year guarantee, which we do not want to do. However, I will tell you this. In 44 years of business, we have had to use our 2-year guarantee a handful of times. That's it. And we average about 50 searches a year. One was Governor Huckabee came in and handpicked somebody for his cabinet. Not our fault, but we came back. It was the right thing to do. So just wanted to let you know that. And then lastly.
Just every year, we do a follow-up. We do an annual follow-up with the board and superintendent, kind of like that marriage checkup, kind of, how are things going? How is the fit going? We just want to take a pulse check. Is everything working okay? What's working, what's not? And it keeps us all communicating. So, we are here to serve you, not to, just provide a canned service. And I can't say that enough. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here working for the company, because it is the most important job.
And along with that, we'll provide a board self-assessment survey for you. So every year that the superintendent is with you all at the district, we will come back and do that board self-assessment survey for free. So with that being said, we know that you probably have some questions for us. We look forward to answering them.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you both getting up at 2 a.m. and flying down here, or where it was you had to travel from. Nice presentation. Board members, questions for Ryan and Amy, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Ryan and Amy.
Yes.
Mr.
Chair, in short,
yes, Mr. Cologne.
So your base fees are $41,200, with advertising up to about $5,000 if we went with the Mercedes-Benz of advertising. So you're looking at $46,200. In short, what does that include?
So yes, our estimated search cost is $41,200. Our cost, and that's estimating airfare, hotels, whatnot. I can tell you this much. We're not fancy people. We like to stay at the Hampton Inn. So we're not going to mark up. We're going to try to keep the cost down. The cost breakdown for the actual search, though, is $35,000.
Right. We're just always wanting to be crystal clear so you can compare apples to apples, because sometimes you'll see a fee for a particular firm, but they don't show you all the other costs that come afterwards. And I'm a big believer in, we want to show you what else you're going to have to pay for.
Yeah. So $35,000 for the search.
Okay.
And we will absolutely try to come under that if possible.
Thank you.
Can I just follow up on
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Cologne's question there on the advertising? So tell us again, for the $35,000, what advertising package?
What we do is we show you where you can advertise, where you get the most bang for the buck, and then what we do is and then we ask, where do you want us to advertise at?
Okay.
So instead of saying within your fee, this is where we'll advertise for you, I guess before we go to advertising, we need to know what it is you're looking for. Because once we know the type of superintendent you're looking for, then we have a better idea where are we going to need to go out and advertise for that. So instead of going out and telling you this is where we think you need to advertise, it's hard for me to tell you that, because I want to know exactly the type of person you're looking for.
And then once you know the type of person we're looking for, then you would say, okay, for $3,000, here's what you can do.
Exactly.
Here's the best way to spend $3,000 or
Exactly.
$5,000.
That's correct.
whatever it
And
is.
also, it's really, really important to note, there are a lot of free places to advertise as well. So why not hit all those free places? Because sometimes it yields a good candidate.
Sure. I get it. We mentioned Marion County. Are you doing another search in the state of Florida right now, or about to?
No. And I will go ahead and I'll tell you this. Our firm has a strict policy of not being in too many searches at one time. So in the sense that is, we're both working Marion County, so we do not allow our our associates to work more than 2 searches at a time. That way you get our full attention. And so if we were selected,
That would be it.
That would be it for us.
I see. And is Marion County, are they 2 months in, 3 months in?
We have not even had our first meeting with them.
Okay, so you haven't even really started.
No, a lot of school districts like to wait until the fall because, there's kind of I call it a season when the best candidates are available or start looking, and so really and it's really with your interim coming in, you guys have timed this really well because starting this fall is when you're going to see more of the quality candidates, people that may not have thought about looking for another job. We also know there's people that are very happy with where they're working at, but really want to come to Volusia County, and they're going to be thinking about applying for the job, but fall is a good time.
Yeah.
I have actually had 3 or 4 conversations with individuals, and they've asked me, do you have Volusia County? And I said, well, we're going to go down there and make a case for it. But they said, let us know if you get it, we'll apply. So, yeah, I concur. The fall is the first start of it. However, if we are selected and you want to go ahead and at least have that first meeting right away, we can do that.
Oh, sure. I'm sure that we would just for planning purposes.
Absolutely. We could be down here next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
As we said, it's your search. You tell us when you want us. I mean, I'm just one county south. The others are real close. We'll just make him get up early and fly in. So.
And I'm willing to do that.
Well, I don't see any other questions from the board members, so at that point, then we'll just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We hope to make a decision on this by the end of the day, and I think we have a couple of more presentations to hear.
Understood.
So thank you again, and have a nice trip back.
Thank you. Thank you. Great questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you
for the opportunity. This is a great county, and we would be quite honored to represent your interest in finding your next superintendent. So thanks again.
Thank you. All right, let's take a little, like a 7-minute break here till 4:50. Okay, we are back. Before we get started with, which may be our last presentation, I'm not sure. I wanted to let the board know that I did make a telephone call to Tim Agner. He was ecstatic. He was thrilled. He appreciated all of the votes of confidence, anxious to get started. To that end, tomorrow afternoon, I will be meeting with him in Mr. Doran's office. I told him we didn't want to waste a day, wanted to get started on his contract, and so he was fired up and wanted to express his appreciation to each of you. I also want to ask you, this is probably a good time, you probably took notes as I did during these interviews. We need to either leave them on top or give them to Connie on the way out, but those are part of the public record. And before that gets just put in a pile and tossed somewhere, and I have a lot of piles going on here right now, so I want to make sure. Linda, I was just saying that we got to, keep all the notes. Yes, thank you. And also that I called Tim Agner, and he said to tell everyone thank you, and he's very excited about being part of the Volusia County team once again. So now, you seem familiar. Yes, hello. And board members, are you ready for our next presentation? Okay, then let's take it away. And again, since we're streaming, just introduce yourselves and your titles, and we're anxious to hear your presentation.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Andrea Messina, and I'm the Executive Director of the Florida School Boards Association. With me here are two of my team members, my colleagues, and I'll let them introduce themselves as well. Mr. Reichert?
John Reichert, and I work with FSBA on superintendent searches and from kind of the human resources aspect.
Okay.
Bill Vogel, retired superintendent from St. Lucie County Schools and Seminole County Schools. And since I've been retired, I work for the Florida Association of District School Superintendents, doing training and mentoring of superintendents. And also I work for the Florida School Board Association, and I assist in superintendent searches, and I bring the expertise from a superintendent's perspective.
Thank you.
The team that we present to you today has the experience of being in the HR department, being in charge of the HR department for a large Florida school district, being a superintendent from 2 Florida school districts, and being a school board member. I think you all know I was a school board member in Charlotte County for 3 terms, so I served 12 years on my local school board. Because of that, I'm convinced that there's no other team that you could hire to work with you on a superintendent search that has the Florida experience that we have sitting here in front of you. Since I've been the executive director of the Florida School Boards Association, it's been three years now, Ida. Seems like yesterday, right? Yes. But this team that you see before you, we have done superintendent searches in Osceola, St. John's, Sarasota, Alachua, Flagler, and Brevard counties. We've also worked with Hernando and Manatee. We've worked with them on interim superintendents, which they then hired for their permanent superintendents. And we are currently on contract in Escambia. They're going to be hiring their superintendent to start in November of 2020. So those are the districts in which we have worked. I do want to congratulate you on the decision that you made earlier today, and I know that you all took that decision very seriously. The reason I bring that to your attention is because selecting your permanent superintendent is of even more gravity than selecting your interim. It is the single most important decision you'll ever make as a school board member. And so we recognize that, we value that, and we're here to support you both through that and with that decision. A few of the things that I'll point out to you, and honestly, I certainly could do a full-on presentation. I know you all have been very busy the last 2 days, and I recognize the time of day. So what I've just done is kind of distilled it down to the most salient points and kind of given that to you. But if you could look on page 3, I'll point out a few of the items here that I believe are of most important as you make this decision. The first is that the Florida School Boards Association, we pride ourselves in working to do you need one, Linda?
I don't think I have one.
It's probably in your stack.
She's got another one coming.
No, I don't have that. Oh,
Okay.
all right, thank you,
All
sorry.
right, sure, no problem. So page 3, we pride ourselves on working to represent the interests of the school board. You all are the hiring authority by statute, and it is our job, we believe, to bring a superintendent to you that will work with you and is a good fit for this district. So we don't try to fit somebody in the district that isn't a good fit. And we also look out for the board. We don't look out, that's not to say we don't work with the superintendent candidates, but our primary concern is the board. Secondarily, I want to make sure you know that we have an extensive network through the National School Boards Association. We work with a group called it's called NAS, which is the National Affiliation of Superintendent Searchers. The reason that's important is because, I'll just give you an example. This week, there was a Florida candidate for superintendent in another state, and it's not a current sitting superintendent, but it's a high-ranking administrator in a district, and that person is a finalist in a superintendent in another state. So they have the ability to pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, Andrea, do you know this person? With my team, we know almost every administrator in the state of Florida. We help to cultivate them and keep them sort of piqued in their interest on developing into superintendents. We work with them sometimes as they're emerging leaders, and they ask us to maybe look at their resumes and what can I do to present myself as a better superintendent. And we say, well, you really need to get experience in the finance department or in this department, or you need to go to a district of a different size, or you need to do this, so that we can try to help develop basically a bench of candidates across Florida. And by doing that, we know most of the administrators across Florida. So we help other states when our administrators apply in their states because we know them. And that also means that when we have candidates for superintendent who have probably served either as superintendent or high-ranking officers in other states, I have the ability to call my colleagues in every other state and say, hey, tell me about Superintendent Persis from Volusia County. What do you know about him? Can I talk to some of the board members? Who was the chair when this person served? And it's a quick and easy contact that we find very, very valuable. Additionally, we don't, and I know Dr. Vogel is very articulate in speaking to this topic, but we don't impose a single superintendent search format for every district. We personalize every superintendent search to the needs of the district. And I think you kind of experienced that yesterday when we were looking at some questions for you. We want to take your interests, your concerns, and bring them to the table, not just tell you here's what you have to do under whatever circumstance. We do that with questions, we do that with format processes, we do it with, what are some other examples?
In the area of community involvement, which is a real specialty area of ours.
Yeah.
We've talked about in the past.
I want to highlight our proximity because travel costs are a legitimate concern. I know that. I think I mentioned before that Mr. Vogel, he's a Seminole County resident. So too is Mr. Reichert. So, living a half an hour away, not that has to be your primary consideration, but it is something I wanted you to be aware of. As well as the fact that you're looking at 3 people who've been deeply and heavily involved, actively involved in Florida education for, I won't say how many years for, for my colleagues, but together, when we added it up once, it was over 80 years. And its current involvement in Florida legislation we know and understand, Florida school districts we know and understand, and Florida administration, all of the rules, the department, all of those things. So I'm going to let Dr. Vogel speak briefly to the issue of our transition once you hire someone that we offer. But really the most important thing I could tell you is that as your state association, your professional membership association, we look at our relationship with school districts not as a single event opportunity. We look at developing board members for long-term success. We look at working in positive relationships with the board and the superintendent team. We look at helping you find interim superintendents and helping you place permanent superintendents and making sure that you have the foundation for them to be successful in an ongoing manner. Dr. Vogel?
Thank you very much. And once the superintendent is selected, we think another area that really sets us apart is working in transition. We work very closely with the school board chairman and the school board attorney in ensuring that a contract is put in place that is beneficial for the board as well as the superintendent. Because John Reichert and I both work for FADS also. We provide mentoring. We will set up a mentoring program for your new superintendent. We provide, working through FSBA, a roles and responsibility workshop and training also. And if the district needs any additional support in terms of any kind of additional studies in areas such as HR or any of the other areas, we're available to go ahead and provide that support also. And if we are selected, you will find that John Reichert and I will be almost an extension of your team that you have in place here, because we're so close. We're always available 24 hours, 7 days a week by cell phone or text, and we can be there. And we will do everything we can to make sure that the transition is successful. And then after your superintendent is selected, we will always be there for you in the event that we're needed.
And Mr. Reichert has
Well, just to
additional
kind
comments.
of tag on to what Dr. Vogel said, we understand that your staff is very busy with their normal jobs, and there are a lot of details to kind of work out in this search, a lot of issues that will come to light, and being as close as we are, a lot of those details we could help your staff with, provide them samples of things they can use for press releases, just a variety of things. So we understand that we don't want to put a lot of workload on staff, where in some organizations that come in, they want staff to do this, and this, and we're very aware of the time that staff has doing their regular job, and we will be here to take that workload off as much as we can.
I would just like to close by saying, it was a real honor to work with you all, and I think I mentioned to each of you how really impressed we were with the dynamics of the board and the commitment that this board had to really moving forward in a positive way. And so if that is something that we could be a part of, we would continue to be honored, and we just appreciate your ongoing support.
Well, thank you. And again, I want to reiterate that we greatly appreciated your help during this interim process, and we're very happy with the way that turned out today. So, board members, it's time to ask questions
I think I gave the packet here to people before, so I'm not sure this is the first time you've seen it. Yeah.
Can you, while board members are thinking a little bit here, you mentioned counties that you've worked with in the past now, and you've also said at one time in the next 18 months there's going to be, I forget how many openings for superintendents, but so where are we? Is there someone out there right now in Florida that's in the same cycle we are?
No, sir. No, you are the only district that has a current active opening with a definitive hire date. I believe your hire date, if it hasn't changed since we spoke earlier today, it's on or around January 1. So most of the districts that are also going to be looking are going to be looking for a June hire date or a November hire date. You guys are the only ones that would be an active search during the next 6 months.
Good.
At this time, that doesn't mean, I don't know what's
something
happening in other districts as we're sitting here.
Yeah, we understand.
And I'd like to add to that, I think the timeline is perfect. We definitely could meet your timeline. The timing couldn't be better for your search.
Great, that is good to hear. Mr. Cologne had a question. Yes.
So advertising, what platforms do you all see efficient advertising
Well, that's one of those things that we sit down with the board to discuss, and we look for, sometimes boards have a finite budget, sometimes boards have a finite time frame. So we would certainly start by looking at your hire date and kind of move things back to see the window of opportunity that we have. Given the window, we want to target the most ideal platforms. We look at some of the national platforms, and depending on your budget, of course, some people want to advertise in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. Other people recognize that the Education Week is typically where a lot of educators look. We look for some, we have partnerships with some national organizations. I know Bill can speak to more directly to some of those, but we have the national, we have a National Hispanic Council, we have National Black Council, we have a number of different supporting organizations through the National School Boards Association that we reach out to, and through other educational kind of partnership relationships. Bill?
Yes, and we always contact the Broad Foundation, and we let them know of our openings, and that is an organization that targets underrepresented individuals who are completing their program. And we have contacts with all of the administrative associations throughout the country, and we notify them through our advertising. And John, you can expand on that too, on some of the advertising that we do.
Well, we do have a kind of a list of places we've advertised in before. Again, to assure we have diversity, we reach out to a lot of the states. For an example, Ed Week, if Volusia County already has a contract to do some advertising in Ed Week, then there's opportunities to add maybe an advance ad for this position. So there's lots of options, and you know, time periods. Of course, the longer you advertise, it may affect the cost of that. But Tony Braxton with Ed Week, we work directly with her, and it's some good opportunities. But basically, as Andrea said, we'll kind of provide you with the smorgasbord, and you know, kind of get your comfort level of where you would like to advertise.
It's also another area that the National Affiliation of Superintendent Searchers comes into play. I know people who are looking both for Florida superintendent positions as well as superintendent positions across the country. We have a little portal on our website, and we post other states' openings. They do the same on their websites. So people know to come to the FSBA website. They know to go to the Georgia and Tennessee and you know, all the other websites. So we sort of have this reciprocal relationship with them through that association. Now, I will say this, I want to mention Indeed, because a lot of people say, well, do you advertise on Indeed? We certainly have before, but when you advertise on Indeed, it's very important that you put the right filters in place. Just the mere fact that you smiled tells me that you understand whereof I speak, because if you do not, and I think I may have mentioned when we did the Indian River superintendent search, they did not tell us it was going to automatically be posted on Indeed, but it was. And so they ended up getting resumes for their superintendent search interim for people that worked at McDonald's, and just not even anywhere remotely qualified. So we don't necessarily look for numbers of applicants. I can get you hundreds of applicants just by posting a job. But what we want to get is applicants that are qualified and meet the needs that this board tells us you're looking for.
And because of our contacts already, we already have people that have contacted us about this position. As I said at the last session I was at, this is a very desirable position, and so you will have a strong field of applicants.
Excellent. Seems to me that we talked a little bit previously about if you were the company that we were going to hire, that you suggested, or we suggested, a meeting in July, a planning meeting, I think it was referred to. Do you recall that?
I do recall that.
Okay.
That's typically where we start. And normally what we do is we call it the pre-search interview. And we would normally sit down. We have a kind of a battery of questions to go through that not only help us as we start to target who we would kind of market to and try to recruit from, but also to make sure that you all are on the same page in certain categories and in certain areas. We ask about relationships with your local municipalities, your local legislators. We ask about the emerging issues in the district. We ask about your most pressing priorities. We ask about relationships with staff, different things like that, so that we can get a feel for the district. The district, you guys can kind of have some agreement on what those things are. We also use that, just like any other of your board meetings, it gets recorded, and then people who indicate to us sort of a peripheral interest, we ask them to watch that video so they can hear the dialogue that goes on between the board and each other and us. You all indicated that you had, once the new superintendent starts July 1, maybe given that person a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, some length of time, and then we would come in and follow up with that meeting. It would be at that meeting where we would want to kind of begin to look at a time frame so that we could lock in some dates, because that's the other thing. When you advertise, we believe that you need to advertise the interview dates, the start date, all of those other important milestones in the search, as well as we would want to work with your IT staff to set up a portal on your website. We kind of have a checklist of items. This meeting, for example, would be something that would be linked to it because it is the beginning discussions of the superintendent search, and so all the transparency pieces that we would want to see included there, as well as the potential timeline, that sort of stuff. So there are some foundational pieces that we would do at that very first meeting. Typically we would want 2 hours minimally, and then sometime where typically it would be John who would work with your IT staff at that time. I don't know if you all have a communications director per se, but I thought I met somebody that was the communications director. People like that we want to make sure that we have direct relationships with, so that they can call us if they need something, we can call them if we need something, exchanging of emails so that we can get that information and really start moving. But the most important thing is going to be the conversation and the beginning of the time frame, locking in a time frame.
Okay, and just so that we are all thinking along the same lines, the cost was $25,000. Then you add to that the cost of advertising
and travel,
and
certain level background searches.
Right, and background searches, and then of course the cost of the travel for however many candidates, final candidates that we bring into the district, correct? So are there any other costs that, like for instance, when we do a community meeting, would it be the 3 of you or 2 of you that would be?
Right, that's all included, as many of the meetings, community forums, or anything that you have.
So we would just be paying for your travel, Dr. Vogel, back and, okay.
That's correct, and I think like.
So not a separate consultant fee
There isn't any
for that?
any of that at all.
That's inclusive.
That's inclusive.
Okay. Other costs that you thought from other companies that they threw out there? I'm just trying to compare.
Right.
So we're all thinking around the same dollar amount. Seems right. Seems okay.
We are very economical in the way we travel, and we really haven't had anybody concerned about our
Understood.
extra expenses.
Understood. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No,
at this point?
No, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, I don't think we have any questions, so I'm going to bring it back to the board now. Board members, I want to make sure before we before we vote that everyone has received the letter. Was it Mr. Doran in a presentation from the company called GOVHR USA? They, I'm looking at a 8-page proposal. I just want to make sure everyone has seen it, because they were also interested.
Yes, and I spoke to Mr. Deneen a few minutes ago, and he said that they had sent a letter on Friday to Connie by email.
That would be what was that?
Saying that they couldn't be here. Yeah, he read me a letter, and anyway, I understand. But anyway, that's their thought was that they had sent a letter Friday indicating that they couldn't appear in person or call in on short notice, but they were still, of course, interested. They are a very large firm. They do national searches, and he's their Florida contact, but he couldn't be here was the issue.
Sure. And has everyone seen the 8-page letter, though? Just so you see the cost associated with it and so forth. Okay, I want to be fair to every company, so just want to make sure that for the record, all board members have received the proposal from Gov HR USA. All right. Well, now that we've seen or read 5 proposals, and at this point we are at a regular school board meeting, so I could entertain a motion at this point. If anyone would like to recommend a company, you may do so now.
Mr. Chair, do we have to open up for public comment? Because it is a board action.
I don't have any cards.
Thank you. Just.
That's right. It is a board action item. Yes, it is, and there is no public present. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yes,
so
Mr.
I do have a comment, and so having gone through all of these, and I think the variation is going to be travel fees and advertising, and looking at all of the different fees associated and costs. One of the most economic ones would have been the Florida School Board Association. And the way I look at it is, I would rather spend the arguably $10,000 advertising to get the best candidate rather than spending $35,000 plus $10,000. And so, granted, nobody has said $10,000. I think our average has been about anywhere between 4 to 5 with what they thought was appropriate. However, with FSBA, we'll be able to save that travel expense in some instances where we can use that towards advertising to ensure that we get the attention of the best candidate possible. And so that's my discussion.
Yeah.
If you, I'll go ahead and make a motion based on that if there's no objection, that we solicit the services of FSBA for our superintendent search.
Thank you. You have a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Cuthbert. Further discussion about the hiring of the Florida School Board Association. Ms. Cuthbert?
I just wanted to, I was very appreciative that Ray and Associates came all the way out here.
Yeah.
I think that firm and Florida School Board Association were the top 2. They were most interested in us as a group and the relationship. I believe Florida School Board Association is the one we are most acquainted with, the best relationship, and they definitely know Volusia County. And they have still the same web of inquiries so far. So I'm total agreement with the motion.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Wright, I know you were going to second it too, so I just want to give you an opportunity.
I agree with my colleague, Ms. Cuthbert, that both of them, again, if it came down, it was going to be between the two of them. They did the best job. But I believe because of the relationship and just from our last process earlier today, it just solidified why I think we should continue the relationship with the Florida School Board Association.
Yeah, makes sense. Ms. Haines?
I'm in agreement because after reviewing all 5 of them, I had already, without even hearing the presentation today, these were the 2 I was the most interested in, the FSBA and the Ray and Associates. And then after hearing both of them speak, they both did a good job, and I felt that, either one would represent us well. But I do feel, as Mrs. Wright even said, and Mrs. Cuthbert, FSBA did a wonderful job of stepping in and helping us find an interim, and they really made it a smoothless process. And I appreciated that, and I appreciated, how they kept us informed and everything, and I believe they're here for our best interest.
Yeah. Well, I agree with all of you. I agree also that Ray and Associates were excellent, and I can see why Marion County perhaps went with them. But we talked a lot earlier today about communication and trust, and I feel like we have that great communication and trust with the Florida School Board Association, at least with these three individuals who really seem to want to help us get the best person here. Yes, Ms. Cuthbert.
And also they want to make sure that the superintendent who applies as well as who is selected is the best.
Yeah,
That individual will be happy here and work well with our district, and it will eventually benefit all of our staff, our students, and our communities, as well as our business partners. So I think it would behoove all of us to recognize, that benefit.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and we have a second, and we have had discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously to hire Florida School Board Association to conduct our superintendent search. Now, I know, look, let me just compliment each of you, because this has been rough and tough and long for 2 days. You all are just great. However, I gotta throw one more thing out at you. I know you're gonna hate me before my year as chair is over, I'm sure, but if you don't already. As we look in our calendars, we know we have the school board meeting next week. All right, we all know about that one. But then we know we don't have another one purportedly until July 22nd. And then Ms. Cuthbert's not one after that till August, late in August, like
Why
August.
aren't we having one at the beginning of August?
I don't know, but go ahead.
You guys decided with start of school that you didn't want one at the beginning of August, you wanted one at the end of August, I think.
Oh, we were going to visit our schools
Yes.
instead.
That was what we decided. First day of school, because it was the first day of school.
Well,
And so
when I just wanted to throw out there, because after tomorrow's meeting with Mr. Agner, he may have an idea, because he mentioned something over the phone about when is your first school board meeting in July. And I said, I don't know the exact date. I know it's near the end of July.
We actually have two. They're back
Two.
to back.
Oh, yes, right. It's that
Budget
Monday
one
and
is on the
Tuesday,
23rd.
right?
We moved it to this 22nd to discuss which.
So Linda could be there on the Monday, and then we're just going to do the public hearing on the budget on Tuesday.
Right, we were supposed
Right.
to have a workshop at the beginning.
Right, we said
about
whoever we
this.
selected, we would want to meet with them on the 22nd so she could be here. So we've already
Oh,
scheduled a
on the
workshop.
Florida School Board Association. Well, that's great. I'm glad we did that. Okay, so then the only issue that Mr. Agner mentioned was in the event that appointments need to be made for schools. He said, would the board consider an earlier meeting in July?
Can we do the 9th?
And I said, well, it'd have to be after July the 5th, in that some week. And then I don't even know about anybody else. But so let's just kind of look at calendars. And I know this is the worst month to find a date. Yes?
I'm on vacation from the 3rd to the 8th, so I couldn't do anything for the pre-meetings.
Okay.
What has to be done before.
So why can't it be the 2nd?
I'm okay with the 2nd.
Hold on, and let's keep going around
Go
it.
ahead, the second, because I was gonna say, if we meet the 25th,
Yes. What's 2 weeks before the 25th? I don't
No.
know.
Next week is the 25th.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, June 25th.
well, I'm like you, why couldn't we shoot for the 2nd? The only reason I'm asking, because the week of, I'm in Africa until the 12th.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
And I have to.
And I cannot call in.
And I have to make a trip.
Well, let's just ask who is
Okay with the
around.
second.
Ms. Cuthbert, are you here?
Second.
What day of the week is the 2nd?
Tuesday. So it would be the following Tuesday.
Now, Connie, Ted, and that would be okay, and that's a Tuesday
Yeah, we've got plenty of time.
to advertise? And I'm not saying that we are right now, okay? But let's kind of
Go ahead and put it on.
put it on your calendar
Well, 'cause
that we are.
You're gonna have to make a decision to get it advertised.
Yes, and we need a week advertising? A week
It would be a
advertising?
3:30
It
one.
depends on the calendar that, Mr. has.
Okay.
I would have to check upstairs.
All right, well, let's talk about what's the best time of day for you all, because this is going to be a very quick meeting. I anticipate
I think we defer
quick.
to, I'd like to defer to Reuben because
Yeah.
he's working and we've taken a lot of
I know we
time
have.
away from work.
I know we have.
I am
So
good at whatever time you all see fit.
I
Better to go ahead and get it over with.
I
Yeah,
really
and
anticipate this
well,
like
9 o'clock.
less than an hour. I mean, this is going
Well,
to be.
and so will it be quick? I don't know that it will be because we're going to be sunsetting one vision and starting another. And so I get it that the purpose is the appointments, but he may have other things that we
Well,
need to address before that. And so
That's true. That's true.
I think if we do a 3:30 meeting, that gives us, we could be here till midnight should we need to. Whereas if we do it early, then we just are really exhausting everybody and
How
being
about,
here all day.
would you consider 2 o'clock?
Absolutely.
2 o'clock work?
Work for me?
We can do
2
1
o'clock.
o'clock
Would
after
that-
lunch.
would that be
makes it
okay?
half a day. That's cool too. I mean, it's up to you.
That's what today was, 2 o'clock.
Well, and-
And we're getting out of here before 5. And I know that next one, July 2nd, won't last this long.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Whatever, I'm
Is it
good.
2 o'clock?
So you want to just put it in for July 2nd at
2
2?
o'clock.
And is that going to work? And, but you'll be with me tomorrow, so we'll know.
Well, let's, we might
Yep.
just address an issue there. So typically, School Board Policy 102 states that the superintendent sets the agenda for meetings.
Yeah.
And so that begs a question that we should ask the board, because you and I will want to know the answer to this. On what date do you want him to start? Because my understanding is there's been a lot of discussion of some overlap so that he can work with Mr. Russell on the way,
Yeah.
in these last few days.
Yeah.
So we need to pick a start date, because if he was, I mean, I don't know, you can't really have 2 superintendents,
No.
but you can have.
But we're going to call him a consultant?
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
We'll get him, if you want him, if we're
So
gonna
then-
start him a little earlier.
Yeah.
So wouldn't Monday, July 1st be his actual first official day as
Yeah.
interim superintendent?
Yes.
But whatever overlap next week happens, he could be paid as a
Yeah,
consultant.
Right.
To be able to
And,
transition.
and yet, and to that point, in the way we have it right now, his appointment is on the agenda. Is that how we have it? Or, yeah, we do have his official appointment, but I thought.
On the 25th?
Yeah, that's on the agenda, but with the
Well,
start date of the first.
yeah, well, we did do it today, but we don't have a contract yet.
Right.
So you're going to be approving his
Approving the
contract.
contract, yeah.
Yeah, be approving his contract on the 25th. However,
We need
we
an
could-
approval
we
of that sooner. Can we approve that on the 25th of June?
yes, we
Yes,
are.
that's when
Oh,
Yes,
that's
we
what
are.
you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were saying
Oh, no.
July.
Oh, no. No. We're going to approve his contract on the 25th. So my question to you, Ted, is could he start in that consultant role
Yeah.
on the 25th? Or does
Sure.
it have to wait till after the board?
No, whatever you guys want.
So we can work that into
We
the
can work that
contract?
out. Yes, we can work that out.
Okay, so if that's worked into the contract, that's, let's say his first day is the 25th as a consultant. To your point of the superintendent plans the agenda.
Well, what is the agenda on July 2nd? And because it does have to be published 7 days in advance.
Right.
So we need to have, so I guess the question is gonna be, what is the agenda gonna look like for the second?
And that's for them to figure out in their
Yeah,
little
I think
overlap.
Can you all talk about that when you?
we can talk about that. And
Yeah.
and-
Administrative appointment, but it goes back to what you're saying, he may not be able to do that.
Well,
because we do have to publicize.
I think too, if, obviously we're all working together here, if Mr. Agner has a specific agenda for July 2nd, we just give it to Mr. Russell and say, and Mr. Russell will quote, put it on, create the agenda.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And that's no big deal.
No. I
So
don't see it
we'll
as a
figure
big
that
issue.
out. Okay.
Well, and then the other part is, so arguably Mr. Russell's last day is the 30th.
Yes.
And so does he begin at midnight?
Does he?
Midnight
But
of the first.
actually, his last
Of the
workday is
first.
Thursday, the 27th, because we don't work on
That's workday,
Friday,
but it-
Saturday, or
Yeah,
Sunday.
but he gets.
But he's
really-
employed through the 30th.
He gets paid through the 30th, yeah, because the fiscal year starts at 12:01 a.m. on July 1st. Yes.
So just something to consider.
All right,
So
so
is-
Connie,
is-
question, yes.
I have a question.
After you speak with Mr. Agner, you guys will let me know what you want me to put on the agenda.
Mr. Russell will.
Mr. Russell will really be doing that.
Mr.
Because
Russell will let
after
you.
we have this meeting, everything is set, then we're gonna meet with Mr. Russell. So tomorrow's Wednesday? So I don't know whether we'll meet tomorrow afternoon, but we'll probably meet on Thursday with Mr. Russell and then get that agenda set for,
I would need to advertise on the 25th for July 2nd.
okay, well, Thursday is only what, the
20th.
20th?
But
Okay.
they'll work on Friday, so she's gonna have it.
So
by
we'll have
Monday.
it for you Thursday.
Okay.
Okay? Good planning. Okay, we are adjourned. Yeah.